Every week I continue to be baffled by how Gon Kamuy is able to blend comedic and serious elements so seamlessly. If you were to explain it or just write it down on paper on how an episode of Gon Kamuy was going to work, I don't think many Gon Kamuy fans would say, yeah, that seems like a pretty solid episode, that seems like it would work quite well. But every time we watch these episodes, that same piece of paper turns out to be the episode in question, and it's a glorious episode that makes you laugh, teaches you a couple of things about the Ainu culture or other cultures, while showing you exhilarating, hilarious, and just what the hell moments that just makes you love and appreciate the show more and more. Last week's episode, in terms of comedic value, is second to none. It's in a league of its own, and I think it's going to take a bit for Gon Kamuy to be able to top that circus episode. But this episode is equally interesting, just rather than it being mostly on comedy, it's honestly mostly on serious. But with that said, the title of this review definitely says it all. This is one of our man's best moments to date. The way that they're able to make characters just a punching bag, but you don't really wish they weren't a punching bag, is really entertaining to me. This is a character who I think you kind of love to hate and then you hate to love. It's a weird mix and match. Sometimes you really like him, sometimes you really hate him. But overall, the show wouldn't be the same without him. And when you get introduced to the whole reindeer concept and elk and things like that, the idea of tying this thing around their neck so they can't run because it'd be too annoying, I thought, that's cool. No, that's a nice little lesson, something to educate us on the species in question. And they use that same education to limit our man from running to brothels, so they're gonna tie it around his dick so he can't. And then you actually see a moment shortly after. I'm like, that's good enough. You don't need to continue anymore. And you see him actually run around, and I was like, that is amazing. It's the little moments. I feel like rather than just saying, oh, here's a dick joke, because even though there's plenty of dick jokes in Gon Kamuy, they really do manage to make it feel intelligently written. And to be able to make an intelligently written dick joke, I honestly think deserves some praise, because not many shows can get it right unless you're just simply being toilet humor. And even then, you're gonna grow stale with it quite fast. But to see a guy who, honestly, you sometimes do think he's too horny for his own good, or he's getting up into trouble because he doesn't think with his top head, it's really nice to see jokes like that, because it is a little bit toilet humor, but it also feels intelligently written, which you're not gonna hear me say too often when it comes to dick jokes. But this episode definitely had its goofy moments, definitely had its kind of down-to-earth slice of life. I mean, we got more Hina faces while we're eating deer brain, so there definitely is those moments. But this episode, in terms of Ogata and Kuro's just overall objective to sneak into Russia, and the objective seemed kind of foolproof, if I'm being honest. I thought once they got into a city, once they got into actually a populated area, that's when we would see some bad things happen, especially considering Lieutenant Surmi has the wanted poster and he's been spreading it around to Russian officials. It just felt to me like this was going to go completely bad and there was going to be a lot of bloodshed. What they brilliantly did was, in this episode, they're all riding on sleds dressed as this group of people. And when you see the bullet go through one of the characters' heads, I honestly thought it was Ogata. I wasn't sure who it was, and because it happened so quick and because of the shocked reaction and the fact that we didn't catch a face at that exact moment, I was like, holy shit, they just killed a main character, and I've never been more happy to be proven wrong in Gon Kamuy. This is a show that I don't necessarily think Acerpa is with the right people right now, and I would much prefer her with someone like Sugimoto, because I feel like they're definitely using her for their own advantage. I still hope these characters make it until the end of the third season, because they all offer something unique. I mean, Ogata's an incredible sniper. He offers this tactical warfare that you just can't really get anywhere else, and Kuro's a guy you just can't read. He's someone who at one point you can think, is he actually the biggest villain of them all? And at other points you feel like he really just believes in what he's doing. And even if he's, by some will call him a war criminal, others will call him, a hero. It's interesting having those two be honestly the guardians of such an innocent and you can even say naive girl at the end of the day. Someone who's still learning and growing, and the only one you can really trust to lead her into a good territory would be the immortal Sugimoto, in my honest opinion. So I was definitely relieved, and I was even more relieved to see that the guy somehow lived because the hat actually cushioned a decent amount of a blow. I actually think that's kind of interesting because I honestly felt bad for the guy because he's screaming out father, and I was like, okay, this boy doesn't deserve to lose his father because of our guys and gals and things like that. No, this guy deserves a nice, happy reunion with his father. So honestly, the fake out death didn't bother me in the slightest. I think it would only bother me is if they did it to a main character and then they were like, oh no, I cushioned it with the hat. Because then at that point, what did you really offer? This is a side character that's going to be forgotten in an episode's time if they decide to live, if they can at the end of the day. So I'm glad to see that the father and son will be able to reunite and hopefully have a better tomorrow, because if you did it to Ogata or Kiro or like a Sirpa, then it would feel disposable and it wouldn't have the same shock factor the next time a main character seemingly ended up dead. So you definitely have to space it out and to do it such as that, and just the dramatic shift and everything. I thought that was great, especially considering it didn't look good. And when Kira was actually like walking to pick up the body, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I assumed Ogata would probably take a shot, but I didn't know, like, was he on a suicide mission? What was he doing? And honestly, up until near the end of the episode, I still was questioning what was the purpose of bringing back the body. And in the episode, the sniper talks about how he's like, oh, I did it originally because he was being an honorable soldier. He was going back for his fallen comrades, so that's why I didn't take the shot. But in actuality, the reason he didn't take the shot was because it almost felt like he was mocking him, like, take the shot, I'm wide open. But for someone like him, a profound sniper and things like that, you need to have that, honestly, stealth kill. Someone who can listen to the screams of their fallen allies begging for help as you wait for your kill. And him and Ogata definitely have a very similar mindset, and it's very horrifying to see two snipers. And the fact that Golden Kamuy isn't afraid to have sniper battles, not the most flashy battles ever. I mean, they have trap bombs and things like that, so you can argue there's definitely flash during the sniper battles. But sniper battles aren't typically what anime studios and manga authors will go for, because it's generally boring by the viewpoints of the reader. Two characters sitting, and for many snipers, it will be hours of sitting before you even make a shot. I mean, this episode ends with him realizing that it's most likely a decoy with a shirt over with the gun because he hasn't moved at all. Ogata's probably moving in for the kill, so yeah, you can argue there might be a little more close hand-to-hand combat. But sniper battles aren't interesting in the grand scheme of things. But I would say Golden Kamuy made it interesting because you really got the internal monologue of two crazy killers, and they really made it feel like both of these had an equal shot of killing the other, and who knows what was going to happen next. And that's what made that entire scene so exhilarating. It's something that's been happening a lot with Golden Kamuy ever since Season 3 kicked off, is anytime I focus on Ogata's side, they would start off and I'd say, this seems a tad boring, but quickly they would shift it into something quite exhilarating. Usually it was a historical or a cooking lesson, things like that. This was really the first episode in Season 3 that really put all the focus, all the money into their side. And in doing so, you get one of the, honestly, I would say probably the most action-packed and adrenaline-pumping episodes. As crazy as the fist fights were and things like that, I think just that realistic sniper battle, no crazy Sugimoto going aura or anything like that. All it is realistic guerrilla warfare. And it really turned into something amazing, especially considering how funny and goofy it started off, and how they're so seamlessly able to transition into something so horrifying and you feel just bad. Even for a character I had no knowledge of the name of, just feeling bad for what happened to his father and his family and wish that they could have a happy reunion. And seemingly they kind of do, but at the same time, they're not out of the woods yet, literally, so who knows if they're going to be able to manage that at all. Golden Kamuy to me definitely seems like it knows what it's doing. I've mentioned it and I'll continue to mention it feels like the best of Season 1 and 2 combined without any of the fluff or filler, and it just feels like they know where they want to lead. And even though these characters are still so separated, it feels like by keeping them separated, we're seeing character perspectives and motivations and lights we couldn't if they were all reunited. And I'd rather them reunite halfway through, if not 3/4 of the way through the season, because at that point, we're really going to see something remarkable. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, though, about this week's episode, and where do you think it might go next week, especially with that thrilling cliffhanger. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support and hit that subscribe button if you haven't been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.